Coming up Tuesday on NBA TV. Yes, the two to my left are involved, but really it's 3D's night, just asking. Timberwolves and Thunder, Knicks and Warriors, of course, because the Knicks, right?
It's Tuesday night.
Players only, baby.
Players only, baby. Come on now.
Trader pregame.
Come on now. You got to say it right. You got to say it like you mean it.
Say it. Mean it. Give it
Players
to
only,
me.
baby.
Players only.
I like that.
We're going to
say it with some feeling. What night is it?
How about issues only, baby? Because that's kind of been like the backdrop for the T-Wolves. Here's Ryan Saunders on now moving forward with Minnesota.
Definitely didn't expect to be standing here. I'll first off say how much I respect Coach Tibbs and Coach Andy Greer as well. It's tough when you spend so much time with people, on the road or just in general, and then you see you're not going to see those people as much anymore. That's a tough thing. So I'm thankful for the opportunity though, and moving forward, I'm looking forward to seeing progress on the court and helping grow this team.
All right, from Ryan Saunders to Area 21 and our boy KG, who had a lot to say on Tibbs, obviously, who he knows. He said, good coach, going to land on his feet wherever he's at. He'll get another opportunity. By the way, congrats, and obviously not the way that he expected to Ryan Saunders, not only in the coaching job, but and I know what this feels like. That's why I went with this, being the only coach who will get carded when he goes out with the team. The Timberwolves, you go through all that they went through, everything with Jimmy Butler. Now you lose the coach. How worried are you for the growth of the young talent that through all of this, like Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins and others, Zeke, are trying to take the next steps in their career?
I'm not worried about the players as much as I am about the organization.
Okay.
Because they really did take a step back. I thought when Sam Mitchell was there, I thought he was doing a great job with those young players. You had Levine, you had Wiggins, you had Katz. They were coming along, and they were doing all right. And then you decided to break that trio up. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a good young trio, and I thought Tibbs made a bet on Butler, on Chicago, and he went and got him. And when you made that bet, I thought I thought Butler and Tibbs would be closer together. They would be, joined at the hip, and they would be able to take it. I think the disconnect came when Butler and Tibbs, somehow they got sideways. And when they got sideways, not only did it fracture their relationship, but I think it also fractured the franchise. So now the franchise is left scrambling because that relationship and that gamble on Butler didn't work out.
I'm going to ask you this, Candace, as a player, because from outside looking in, I'm sure I speak for a lot of people. And I just think from a common sense standpoint of, we always hear about millennials now, and I think about coaches that I've talked to on the baseball side and how they need to treat it differently today. When you've got a roster with all the youth that they had, can it work with a coach like Tom Thibodeau? You paid for Bobby. We've seen coaches have a lot of success who are tough. But in today's day and age, can you be that way with young players at a professional level?
It's a balance. But with this young talent, and especially up until this point, they've been doing this a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And now the coach is gone, Jimmy Butler's gone. Mm-hmm. So now it's going to be like this.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Tibbs is the way he is. We know him as a coach. Obviously, we've heard things down in Chicago with Boylan and his attempt to kind of bring that out of players. But until you want that fire, that desire to be a top player come out of you, it's not going to happen. And right now, if you're not looking at anybody else in the mirror, where this franchise goes is going to be where Kat and Andrew Wiggins takes it.
We're going to see Golden State in this players-only doubleheader. And
but
yes, go ahead, Zeke.
Let me go back to that because I do think from a coaching standpoint, the coaches do have to find a way to bring that greatness and inspire you to reach down deeper than you thought you could yourself. We watched it with Phil Jackson with Michael Jordan, okay? We watched Pat Summitt do it to you. You watched Coach Knight do it to me. When I got to the NBA, Chuck Daly, had his way of doing. So the great players in this league, whether it be Pat Riley, tweaking Magic Johnson or Kareem a little bit, or Dwayne Wade or Shaq, whoever. The great coaches, they have to find a way not only to just rest on your talent, but they got to find a way to inspire you to give more. And I don't feel like Cat or Wiggins have had that fire to get inspired to do more.
Yeah, and I'll recite something near close to here. I've used this before, but Leo Mazzoni, longtime pitching coach for the Braves, told me years ago, I always use this, and I know Griff loves this if he's watching, is coaching sometimes is about knowing where to blow smoke and where to light fire. And I feel like that's some of what I don't know that they've always gotten right. I think that's from the outside what I don't know if Jimmy got right. Those guys seem to, you don't want to use the word coddle, but you need to sometimes be able to push a guy with positivity too, right?
Yeah, but it's a fine line, and that's why the coaches that we just talked about, they're all in the Hall of Fame.
Right, sure.
Because they knew how to get it out of you, but yet make you realize that it was the best for you, right? But I went for a year, and I didn't like Chuck Daly. I didn't like Coach Knight.
Yeah.
I didn't like my high school coach. But now that I'm out of it, I'm glad I had those two coaching me. And I'm sure you felt that way about Coach Summit sometimes.
Definitely. But to add to that, it takes a special player
Yes.
to be able to look yourself in the mirror and understand that you have faults and you have things that you have to do better. And sometimes what you think is right is completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have done that. I don't know. But right now we're going to find out whether they do it or not, because everything around them that has been the quote-unquote problem, those are the only two that are left.
Accountability, right? I mean, you can't win without having it yourself in the mirror, in addition to kind of everybody else. Be interesting to see. I mentioned don't sleep on that Warriors game, not because the Knicks can't beat them, but home losses. We've seen some interesting situations. Go look in that closet. The boogeyman perhaps could be out of it. We got more coming up on Game Time. Did we say some issues? The Sixers, too. We'll get into the process. Houston Rockets and the Denver Nuggets are game of the night. Rockets win at 125-113. The stretch of 35 points each time out for James Harden ends, settles for, and I say that jokingly, 32, 14, and 5 on a big night. But enough about that. Our next guest, we'll find out if he's entering the three-point competition coming up in Charlotte. As we welcome in P.J. Tucker, who knocked down 7 of them in 11 tries. P.J., first of all, congrats on the W. For you, talk about how good it feels. You do so many things to help out the team, but to feel it like you did from deep tonight.
Man, it was a blessing. It's crazy. Every night here is different. The way James is rolling, you just kind of fill in spots. Everybody just do their job, play their role. He gets it going. He gets our offense fueled. So, one night you might get 10, 11 shots. One night you might not get but 1 or 2. But it's just playing the same way every single game.
PJ, you've had to adjust to that in terms of, sometimes you get 1 shot, sometimes you get 10 shots, and you've always focused on your defense. And you've always been a solid player. My question to you is, when all of you were down a couple of weeks ago, and you were there in 15 teams in the West, you were at 14, what did y'all do to rally around each other? What were the conversations that were had to get y'all back on track and to get everybody feeling this good and playing this well?
Zig, it's interesting you say that because it's one of those things where we got a new team this year. Everybody always talk about last year. We got a whole new team this year. We got a lot of new guys. When we got down early, we just encouraged all the new guys to keep on pushing. At the end of the day, every time you look at games, everybody's beating everybody in the NBA early. Even though we were like 14th or whatever we were still like 5 or 6 games out of second and third. Like, it was crazy. So it was one of those things we just kept looking at it and just told everybody just kept chipping away. And really, honestly, all the injuries, all the things we've had going on all year, we've had guys from the D League. We've had a lot of stuff going on, but everybody just came in and do what we wanted. So it's just trying to stay focused all 82 games. It's a long season.
As fans, we all watched James Harden obviously over this last month do incredible things. Can you talk to us about, as a teammate, to witness that firsthand and be a part of basically history?
That's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things. Last year, he did some crazy stuff last year, but seeing him on that streak, that was amazing. Some of the shots, some of the plays he was making, he does a lot of that every night. But it was to the max. So it's one of those things where you, as a fan, you kind of, as a player, you're still a fan, and the way you get to watch your teammates and somebody you respect and you play with every day, just do something that he's doing. It's incredible.
Now, PJ, you've had a chance to play with, arguably two of the greatest offensive players of this generation in terms of Kevin Durant when you were, in college, and also now with James Harden. What do those two guys do in practice that we don't see that you can share with us that has made them so effective? And are there similarities?
That's tough. You know what? They two are probably the best offensive players I've ever played with and against ever seen. Maybe one thing I will say, I know JH every single day he is the last one to leave the gym. Like, he gets his routine in, no matter we on a back-to-back, no matter if he's tired, if he's hurt, like, he gets his routine in. So those shots you see him make at the end of games and behind the screens and splitting people and step backs, he practices that stuff every single day, and I'm in there with him, and it's amazing. And in the summertime, he's doing that same stuff all the time. So, for me, just being around him so much, to see him actually do it in games, I know he can make it, and I try to get him open as much as I can because I know he can do it. Just seeing him do it every single day, so it's pretty incredible. And KD's the same way.
PJ, I got to ask you before we let you run, because you guys have so much talent on this team. Obviously went as deep as you did last year, and it's still somehow, and it's hard to say underrated because I know he got paid to stay with the team, but Clint has a career high, 31 points tonight. And I always talk about the fact that I don't think people give enough credit to all the things he does to make everybody better. So for those who don't maybe understand the importance of Capella, can you give us a sense as a teammate of why it's so imperative that he's a part of this basketball team?
It's funny. I always talk about it. Nobody talks about Clint. Like, Clint is he's the part of our team that nobody talks about, but it's probably the most important part. Everybody, obviously James does so much, Chris does so much, but we honestly got a big three because Clint Capella, every single night. The way he monsters the boards, the way he catches our lobs, he has great hands, the way he makes plays in the pocket when they double James. Just makes real good decisions. His energy, running the floor every night, he just brings another aspect that I don't think any other big in the league actually can do like he does every single night.
On the way out, tougher to defend James in practice or to match up with his attire entering the arena every night?
Definitely harder to guard him in practice.
PJ, appreciate it, man. Thanks, bro.
Hey, I want them shoes now. I'm for real,
Hey,
man.
Zeke, I'm going to keep them shoes for you. Zeke, they're yours.
I'll be there to do a game. I'm going to ask you for them.
They're going to be in my locker.
I'm going to be my 12-year-old self again. Hey, PJ, can I get them shoes?
Done deal.
All right, PJ, be good, man. That's PJ
Thanks,
Tucker.
bro. Thanks, guys.
This team has the one thing you got to be fair with. They're resilient. You say what you want about whether or not you dribble too much, or you like the way everybody's got their own comments, Zeke, about how the Rockets are. They dealt with a lot of injuries. A lot of people say no. They had the whole Melo situation, which it seemed like kind of a train wreck, just didn't work. They've shown a lot of resilience, right? I know James has played great, but you look at it, really everybody's stepped up now for this team.
Well, when you talk about his resilience and perseverance, and you hear P.J. Tucker talk about his hard work and work ethic, a lot of times we sit and we watch and we just marvel at, guys like him, guys like Steph, guys like Durant. But we don't see how much work they put into their craft. And to hear him talk that way about James Harden, because I'm used to seeing him doing this and just having fun out on the floor. But to hear him talk about how he's the first one in, the last one to leave, even on back-to-backs, getting his work in every time, he's setting a good example for that team. And as he said, we had a lot of new guys to come in, and we had to keep encouraging them. Now, if your best player isn't showing up for practice and working and setting that example in terms of a work ethic, those new guys, when you down on the bottom, they're going to have a hard time getting back up. So you have to give Harden a lot of credit for just showing up the way he practices and the way he goes about doing his business.
Now, you guys know this as stars. I mean, it's funny because I think about the handles, right? There's a lot of work in the gym you don't see, the amount of shots that are put up and all those sorts of things. And I think because of some of the brash nature of James, right? I mean, people kind of think it's all show. You don't just wake up and be able to play like that, clearly. So sometimes we shouldn't, but we need to almost hear it from a teammate, which is why it's a good question. So the people who look at it they think, okay, well, he gets fouls he shouldn't get. Well, that's great. But what about all the other things he did? The shot against Golden State, that didn't happen by accident. You practice those sorts of things for that moment, right?
Well, I look at it like a perfect storm. I mean, he has the natural abilities,
right,
but then to put in the time and the effort and the energy to be the first one in the gym. And we were talking in break, it's practice.
Yep.
It's practice where you gain your teammates' respects. And that's what he's done. I mean, you hear the way PJ talks about him. In practice, having to defend him. In practice, walking in and seeing him get up those shots. I mean, that's commendable, and I think he's definitely put this team on his back because nobody expected.
Seen him doing it in the summer, he said.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if you can't show loyalty with hard work, you can always show it by putting your team's logo or something like it in your hair. For